Tonight on Cronkite News, new questions after a plane crash at a local airport. We'll take a closer look at the traffic control system.
Plus, how a reversal of a 2011 ICE policy could affect undocumented elementary school students in the Valley.
And former Sun Devil basketball coach Karen Self makes history. We'll tell you about her latest milestone tonight on Cronkite News. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Max Williams.
And I'm Caitlin Humphrey. Thank you for joining us.
Following a crash yesterday at Scottsdale Airport, officials said that a plane veered off the runway into another plane, injuring several people and killing one. Cronkite News reporter Ariel Nelson spoke with flight instructors about what is happening on the runways.
This recent incident follows a number of other high-profile plane crashes, leading many travelers to fear our skies are unsafe. But statistics show that flying is still the safest way to travel. Any given day, planes are landing safely at Falcon Field in Mesa, Arizona. Pilots spend hundreds of hours in simulators training for all sorts of situations. Arizona State University's Jacob Keir trains pilots and thinks that in the case of the Scottsdale Airport plane crash, it is unlikely that the pilot was underqualified.
It appears that this wasn't really an emergency landing, again, based on what I know. Also, in order for someone to be able to fly the airplane, it was a Lear 35 Alpha, I believe, you need a specific type rating, which means that you have to go to get trained in that specific airplane.
As with all plane accidents, an investigation is being conducted to find out what happened. But based on footage, experts suspect that there was an issue with the landing mechanics of the plane.
The one airplane landed on the runway and then left the runway on the landing, which is not normal. So I would venture to guess that there was some mechanical issue.
According to the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, air travel is by far the safest way to travel, especially in the United States. Far safer than traveling by car, train, or boat. One other statistic to think about. According to the FAA, commercial pilots need 1,500 hours of flight time before they can become licensed. Private pilots need at least 40 hours. In the newsroom, Ariel Nelson, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Ariel. Meanwhile, Arizona's Attorney General compared the Trump administration to a dictatorship. In a video released of her office, Chris Mays slammed President Donald Trump's actions since taking office last month.
That was my bad.
The actions of the Trump administration in the last 3 weeks can only be described as dictatorial and authoritarian. Every day, nearly every hour, there is some new action or executive order that makes a mockery of the rule of law and the Constitution itself. There is an undemocratic administration in power, and they appear hell-bent on undoing 250 years of adherence to the rule of law in this nation.
Attorney General Mays also criticized the appointment of Elon Musk, who is heading the newly formed Department of Government Efficiency, and said her office will continue to challenge the administration's actions in court.
Meanwhile, President Trump welcomed the King of Jordan to the White House today, but the president did not walk back earlier comments he made about relocating people from the Gaza Strip. The president met with Jordan's King Abdullah II today in the Oval Office, and Trump once again said that Palestinians should be moved from the Gaza Strip to other countries, including Jordan. The president also suggested that he could keep aid from Jordan if they did not accept Palestinians.
There's going to be peace, and there's not going to be any problem, and nobody's going to question it. And we're going to run it very properly, and eventually we'll have economic development at a very large scale, maybe the largest scale on that site. And we'll have lots of good things built there, including hotels and office buildings and housing and other things.
King Abdullah did not reject the president's proposal during today's press conference, but he did indicate that alternate proposals for the people of Gaza may be coming.
Also today, an ally of President Trump has pleaded guilty to defrauding donors who thought they were helping to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. Steve Bannon pleaded guilty to one count of scheme to defraud. Prosecutors say Bannon and several others raised millions of dollars to build the wall, but they say Bannon used the money elsewhere. Bannon will not be required to serve any time in prison and will not pay restitution.
Schools across the country are facing new challenges because President Trump reversed the long-standing sensitive locations policy. That policy restricted U.S. immigration and customs enforcement agents from acting in or around schools. Cronkite News reporter Ripley Simone Kennebrew spoke with school officials and people in the community to find out how they are reacting to the reversal.
Erlinda Calderon left Mexico nearly 20 years ago. 3 of her children were born in the U.S. and attend school in Phoenix. She says they worry she may be deported.
They were scared. It was a reaction of fear for us, for their parents.
According to the 2019 Migration Policy Institute, there are 273,000 unauthorized people in Arizona, and Calderon is one of them. The same report estimated 14,000 students enrolled in secondary education in 2019. But now, some of those 14,000 could face deportation following the Trump administration's rollback of a 2011 ICE policy. Previously, agents were not allowed to carry out immigration raids at or near schools. School districts like Cartwright Elementary and Phoenix Union have vowed to not voluntarily help federal immigration agents in their search for undocumented students and families. In Phoenix, the Cartwright Elementary School District implemented safety and educational rights policies.
Another protection that we have through FERPA is that any information from our scholars is also protected by federal government. So we're not allowed to provide any kind of information to anybody.
Rodriguez says some families are pulling their children out of school. Calderon chooses a different approach.
They have to keep going to school. They have to go on with their lives while we solve our problems.
For Rodriguez, these immigration reforms could involve losing teachers.
We cannot really afford, having teachers if we don't have any students.
In a statement, the Department of Homeland Security says this action empowers the brave men and women in CBP and ICE to enforce our immigration laws and catch criminal aliens. Criminals will no longer be able to hide in America's schools and churches to avoid arrest. Calderon plans to continue life as normal in the state she calls home.
The only thing I do is love this state, respect human beings, and move forward.
In Phoenix, Ripley Simone Kennebrew, Cronkite News.
Roughly 2 in 15 Arizona residents are immigrants, according to the 2023 U.S. Census Bureau. As of today, no ICE raids have been conducted at Arizona schools, but reports are circulating in other states. Coming up next, the Federal Trade Commission says that identity theft is on the rise.
But some Phoenix residents are shredding their chances of becoming a victim. Stay tuned after the break to learn how some Phoenix residents are planning to keep their sensitive information out of the wrong hands.
Plus, we have a cooler weekend up ahead in the valley with a possible storm on Friday. Stay tuned after the break to learn more.
When I was younger, there were no engineers around me, so I had to become my own role model. At ASU, I wasn't just learning to be an engineer, I was actually engineering. And graduating, I already had real-world jobs lined up. Before ASU, my goal was to be a strong, confident woman. And when I left, I became a strong, confident engineer.
Innovation at the Walter Cronkite School is pushing the boundaries of traditional journalism.
Storytelling has evolved over the years. This is part of that evolution.
Students in the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Lab are using emerging technology to create scenes in augmented and virtual reality, coding playable games, and bringing the audience into the story.
They're only limited by their imagination and their willingness to learn.
Find out more at cronkite.asu.edu.
If you spent any time in the valley, you've probably noticed the Waymos driving themselves around the streets of Phoenix and Tempe. Pretty soon, they may have some competition on the roads. The rideshare company Lyft announced it will start using autonomous vehicles by 2026. Lyft joined forces with a Japanese company who will own the fleet of cars that feature their mobile iDrive technology. In a social media post, CEO David Risher said they could debut in Dallas, Texas by 2026. Officials at Lyft say once these vehicles are on the road, customers will have the choice of getting an automated driver or a real human to take them from point A to point B.
According to the Federal Trade Commission, Arizona ranks 5th in the nation for reports of identity theft per capita. A recent event in Phoenix is helping residents protect themselves. Cronkite News reporter Emily Fox-Millian shows us how shredding documents with sensitive information could make all the difference.
According to the FTC, identity theft is on the rise, but Phoenix residents have the chance to fight back, one shred at a time.
Cars lined up early at the free Shred-a-thon event hosted by the Arizona Attorney General's Office and AARP Arizona. Residents dropped off boxes of personal documents, hoping to keep their sensitive information out of the wrong hands.
So we just want to make sure that we try to protect our identities as much as possible, and the best way to do it is by shredding the documents.
The Federal Trade Commission reports identity theft is more common with Arizonans aged 30 to 39, but it's the older residents, ages 70 to 79, who lose the most money to fraud. Experts say scams are becoming more sophisticated, making prevention more important than ever.
Lots of times there are phishing scams that are just trying to get people to share information. It can look like an email from your bank or from someone you know, but the effect is just wanting to gather up as much identifiable information as they can.
For many residents, shredding these documents isn't just about security, it's about peace of mind.
I'm terrified. I know people that have had it happen, so.
Cheryl, who asked us not to use her last name because she is concerned about identity theft, says she has thankfully not been affected by fraud, but she is still taking every step to avoid becoming a victim herself.
When you own a home and you own cars and you have retirement accounts and stuff, you know, you just have to protect it.
Identity theft can happen to anyone. In fact, in 2023, the FTC says Americans lost $10 billion in fraud, mostly due to imposter scams. Experts recommend shredding old bank statements, medical records, and anything with personal details. They also warn against sharing information over the phone or online.
The Arizona Attorney General's office will continue to hold events like this throughout the year to help combat identity theft. In the newsroom, Emily Fox-Millian, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Emily. More winter mayhem as cities in the eastern United States are expected to be blanketed in snow tonight. Pittsburgh, New York City, and Washington, D.C. are expected to receive up to 5 inches of snow.
But the winter madness does not stop there. Arizonans in Maricopa County can expect a colder week ahead with a potential storm on Friday. Quentin Presley joins us from the Cronkite Weather Center with what we can expect.
Thanks so much, Caitlin. And you're absolutely correct. We have a chillier week on the horizon and a storm that's brewing. But let's take a look at this evening's planner. Right now it's about 66 and sunny, but tonight it's gonna get colder, it's gonna get cloudier, 60 to 40 to 58 degrees at around 9 p.m. But diving into tomorrow, what's it gonna look like in the morning? Quite chilly actually. Staying right here, Page, Window Rock, and Grand Canyon as well. It's gonna stay within that 11 to 23 degree range. Kicking it up a notch like always. What's the highs gonna be like for tomorrow? Nothing really crazy, and it's gonna stay right here, 66, 63, 64. Those are kind of our highs at the border, and even 59 degrees at Tombstone. That's as south as it gets. But now, what's all this huss and fuss about a storm coming? Where is it coming from and when? Well, I'll tell you. At around Wednesday, it's gonna brew throughout California, a lot of rain over there, and it's gonna come through Arizona right at Thursday at 10. That's where it's first gonna strike in Flagstaff. Then throughout Friday, we're gonna see it kind of touch on the central part of Arizona and drizzle over Phoenix. Lastly, looking at the 8-day forecast, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's going to remain cloudy. Thursday, we get a little bit of a break, but into the weekend, nothing but clouds. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it's going to be dark then. Wednesday, we finally get a break. Make sure to look out for that storm on Friday. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm Quentin Presley at the Cronkite Weather Center, sending it back to the desk.
Thanks, Quentin. After the break, the Cronkite Sports Report.
That's right, and this year's WM Phoenix Open was a huge success. The crowds are long gone, but the cleanup is still underway. I'll have a look at how the Open is sweeping up the 16th hole in a sustainable way when we return.
Welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Renato Garcia. Tonight, the Suns host number 2 seeded Memphis Grizzlies in a Western Conference showdown as they look to build some momentum heading into the All-Star break. The Suns expect Kevin Durant to return tonight after missing the previous 3 games with an ankle sprain and get some much-needed scoring help. But the Suns will be without Bradley Beal as he's sidelined with a toe injury and is considered a day-to-day going forward. The Suns dropped their first matchup against the Grizzlies back on New Year's Eve and hope to even the series at 1-1 until they play again 2 weeks from today. The Suns have 2 remaining games before the All-Star break, and first-year head coach Mike Budenholzer has the team sitting at 26-26, putting them at the 11th seed in the West, just outside the play-in game. Budenholzer was asked yesterday where the team can improve heading into the second half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I always start with us being good defensively. I think continuing to grow on that end of the court, and I think a continued emphasis on rebounding. We got to finish the possessions. We got to be better there. But our activity, our connectivity, when we're active and we're communicating, we're connected, that's when we're our best defensively.
After a wild trade deadline last week, Kevin Durant remains a member of the Suns. A potential trade involving the All-Star fell through at the last minute. Durant addressed the media about almost being traded.
It's just business, man. It's just part of the business, Everybody is bought and sold in this league, so anybody could be up for auction, you know what I mean? So I understand that. And it's just about getting back on the court, trying to go out there and play the game that I love, That's a part of the business, though, man. We all got to understand that.
Staying with basketball, the Arizona Wildcats have jumped 7 spots in the latest Associated Press Top 25 men's basketball ranking. The Wildcats saw the biggest jump in the entire poll after 2 impressive wins against BYU and number 12 Texas Tech last week. In both wins, the Wildcats were led by star point guard Caleb Love, who averaged 17 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 5 assists. His running mate Jaden Bradley was the next best thing for the Wildcats, averaging 16.5 points, 3 rebounds, and 3.5 assists over the same span. The Wildcats' win over Texas Tech last week avenged their only Big 12 loss as they hold an 11-1 record in the Big 12 Conference. Tonight, the Wildcats are scheduled to travel to Kansas State. She's a former Sun Devil and current girls basketball coach at Seton Catholic. Now, she's made history with her latest milestone. Cronkite News reporter Jacob Seaver has more on the high school coach with the winning formula.
The final buzzer sounds at Seton Catholic Prep, a sound that girls basketball head coach Karen Self has heard over 1,000 times during her 32-year coaching career. For Coach Self, the sound is associated with winning, something that the former ASU basketball player has now done more than any other girls basketball coach in Arizona's history.
Now that we're here and we have a chance to celebrate tonight with our community, it just feels really great to have so many people want to support our team.
The magic number for Coach Self? 833 wins to go alongside 12 state titles, a record in itself since she began coaching in 1992. Her former players say her impact as a coach stretches beyond the hardwood.
My twin sister and I played all 4 years on varsity with Karen, and it was the most amazing experience. Even to this day, we're still really great friends with her, and I think that's a testament of what kind of coach that she is.
Self surpasses former record holder Minor Webster, who coached at nearby Gilbert and Highland high schools. Minor was ready to pass the baton to Self and commended her ability to adapt to today's game.
I think one of the things that I had a hardest time is you get stuck in your ways and the game evolves, and then you don't want to change. You don't want to do the things that you have to do, but you have to, and she does that very well.
This team this year in particular, so much. We are just, the girls are so tight-knit. We have no drama. Like, they're just awesome to coach. So there's no end in sight for me, at least.
As Self continues to rack up the wins, not only will she help guide her team to another state title run, but she could very well put her new state record for victories out of reach for a long time to come. In Chandler, Jacob Seaver, Cronkite News, Phoenix.
Moving on to baseball, it's that time of year for spring training to begin, starting tomorrow, as pitchers and catchers are due to be the first players to report to Salt River Fields. And the Diamondbacks are keeping with tradition, allowing fans to watch the open workout. Fans can attend and watch from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., and it's a great opportunity to watch pitchers go through their bullpen sessions and walk around the 4 full-size fields they have on their side of the team's complex. The Diamondbacks are set to bring at least 59 players to the camp, 40 of them being players from the 40-man roster, while the remaining 19 are non-roster invites. Among those players include new additions Corbin Burns and newly acquired Josh Naylor. The Diamondbacks have their first full squad workout scheduled on Monday next week, and their first spring training game is next Friday versus the Colorado Rockies. The WM Phoenix Open makes it a priority to drive sustainability each year, but how do they keep the famous hole 16 clean during the party? Our Max Williams went behind the scenes to find out.
TPC Scottsdale is usually a serene golf course. But during the WM Phoenix Open, this is what it's known for. So how does the greenest show on grass stay clean? I caught a ride to the famous par 3 for a behind-the-scenes look with WM's Director of Operations, Chad Bowden, to see how they manage waste at hole 16.
So my role here is to ensure that our zone managers and the temporary workers are educated and understand where the material needs to be and how to process it. A lot of the structures start getting built around September. The compactors are the last thing to go in.
After starting underneath, we walked upstairs for a better look.
So this is hole 16, 20,000 plus fans, and the loudest hole in golf.
From the skybox, it was easy to see how these chutes led down to the compactors, which Bowden says are managed by 2 to 4 people at a time. But there's much more than that.
So wanted to highlight these sinks here that we have all over 16. We have holding tanks down below that they're plumbed into. We use all the melted ice is dumped in there, and then we use that water in the restrooms all around the golf course to activate the sanitizer tablet that goes in the bathroom. You just need a little bit of water.
There are a lot of drinks sold, and this year WM partnered with local company Bold Reuse to save an estimated 32,000 cups.
This is actually a shot of one of those cups that we will capture at the end of the day and then have washed and returned.
UL Solutions has certified the tournament as waste-free for 12 years, a company that investigates businesses, products, and events to promote sustainability. In Scottsdale, Max Williams, Cronkite News.
There most certainly was a mess to clean up after Emiliano Grillo's hole-in-one this year. That place went nuts. That's all for Cronkite Sports. I'm Genaro Garcia. We'll be right back after a quick break.
The next mission to Mars could be in this class.
Getting a degree at ASU is a journey that can take you anywhere. Into a world of groundbreaking technology and renowned award-winning faculty. Professors who help you to impact the world. Whether you're on campus or at home, becoming your best starts with learning from the best.
When I was younger, there were no engineers around me. So I had to become my own role model. At ASU, I wasn't just learning to be an engineer, I was actually engineering. And graduating, I already had real-world jobs lined up. Before ASU, my goal was to be a strong, confident woman. And when I left, I became a strong, confident engineer.
Welcome back from the break. A woman in Iowa has always loved temporary tattoos, but she's always been too scared to commit to real ink. That is until her 70th birthday.
Now, at the age of 89 years old, she has 4 tattoos and adores every single one. Her latest tattoo addition is an angel. She's a devout Catholic and says her tattoos help bring her closer to church, community, and family. She said she's considering getting a 5th tattoo of a cross, a symbol that means a lot to her and her faith.
That's it for tonight's edition of Cronkite News. I'm Max Williams.
And I'm Caitlin Humphrey. Thank you for joining us.
And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.